Hi everyone, I hope you're having a relaxing day. I am so excited for today's video. I'm unboxing figures for the first time. I got so excited that I even bought this rotating display thing. I know it's so extra, but I couldn't help it. We're going all in. I've always really loved looking at scale figures because a lot of them are gorgeous, but living on a budget is hard. With all of my expenses, and of course with all of my other hobbies, I always assumed figures would be way too expensive for me. But that was then, and this is now. I know I always make things sound dramatic, but I feel so unbelievably lucky that I can now begin to afford such lovely things. All but one of these figures were ordered from amiami, and most of them are from Good Smile Company's pop-up parade line. Okay, without further ado, let's go. First, I have the wuxian and wangji figures from Pop-Up Parade. I kept pushing off unboxing these because at one point I was too busy. And then I knew I was getting more figures soon, so I figured I'd wait to open everything together. I was so thrilled when I found out about the Pop-Up Parade line. For someone like me who is obviously new to this line makes figure collecting so accessible, and I love accessibility. I think by now, most people are already familiar with Pop-Up Parade, but they're essentially Good Smile Company's line of affordable scale figures. Anyway, so these wangxian figures are my very first figures that I purchased on my own. How special is that? Like I've constantly mentioned, Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation means so much to me. One of my manga friends was actually the one who recommended the series to me in 2020, and every day I am so thankful to him for doing that. The last several years put such a strain on me in many ways, and that was all exacerbated by the pandemic. And novels like Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation and Heaven Official's Blessing, for example, made all of those difficult experiences so much more bearable. I don't know how to express it any better, but I really am so thankful. So, when I saw the announcement for these figures, I had to order them, even if I didn't know the first thing about maintaining figures or storing them or anything like that. There's a first time for everything. On to the figures themselves. Wuxian looks so cute. I love how he's holding a jar of Emperor Smile. I love how his hair's flowing. Even his pose is so fun. I think it really captures how vibrant and fun he is himself. He's just so cute. This might sound odd, but lately I've been thinking about him a lot. I really like his journey, and I admire his character a lot. So, I guess sometimes I wish I was more like him. But yeah, he has been on my mind. I was pretty nervous about getting Lan Wangji's figure. At first glance, I thought his prototype's expression looked a little dull. Of course, he is a relatively serious character, but he's not dull by any means. So while waiting for this figure, I kept hoping and praying that he would look much better in person, and he does. His eyes are so pretty. I love the way both his robes and his forehead ribbon are billowing. It adds such a lovely touch, right? His forehead ribbon is probably my favorite part. I know that's so silly, but it looks really graceful. It looks like they tried adding some shading to these robes by adding the blue. I think it looks pretty natural on the back, but it does look a little strong on the front. Honestly, it's not really a big deal to me, but I couldn't help but notice it. Overall, I love these figures. Of course you can't see this, but while I was filming, I had my hands on my cheeks, and it was just such a perfect moment. Next, I have another set of wangxian figures. Oh my goodness, can you tell how cute these are already? If you noticed the mooncakes, yes, these figures are Mid-Autumn Festival themed. How cute and yummy do these look? I didn't order these off of amiami, but through a group order instead. These figures were created by Hobby Rangers. They also arrived a little while ago, but I held off on opening them for the same reason. Wangxian is probably my favorite fictional couple right now. Their love, and oh my goodness, their story is too much for me. They are so good. I can only dream of a love like that. But enough about me. Aren't these figures the cutest things you've ever seen? I just want to pinch their cheeks. Look at their cute ears, look at the tiny mooncakes, look at the giant mooncakes. Normally, I don't really care about mixing animal characteristics on people, but the little paws are just so precious and adorable. I also really like these mooncake bases. The little flowers are so pretty. It's very subtle, but when the light hits it, they just seem to radiate. It creates such a nice atmosphere overall. I really can't get over how cute these figures are. I almost didn't buy them, but I'm so glad that I did. Every time I look at wuxian, I'm tempted to just carry him around with me. Overall, I am so glad Past Me got these figures despite my initial hesitation. They are too precious. Next, we are moving on to the most darling figure I have ever seen. This is the Heaven Official's Blessing, Qbi, Lian, and Sunlang figure. The title is, wait for it, Until I Reach Your Heart. The moment I saw this figure, I was so smitten and I pre-ordered it right away on Amiami. Hualian love each other so much, and the concept of this figure captured their feelings perfectly. Everything about this figure is so cute. I feel like I'm going to pass out from how beautiful it is. I love the expression on their faces. Sunlang looks especially in love, which is very on brand for him. And the utter joy on Lian's face, life-changing. It knocked me out with joy, it cleared my skin, it fed my soul. He's so precious. I will say though, assembling this figure was so difficult. It was easy to push Sunlang into place because he has a metal post. For the life of me though, I could not get Lian to slide into place. I tried so many different angles, applied different levels of pressure, and I even had to run and get help. I was convinced I either got a defect or I was completely oblivious about something. Eventually, I did manage to force him into place. It's honestly not the most stable right now, but it's the best I could do. I even broke off one of the flowers in the process, which was so sad in the moment, but it just makes me laugh now. If you also got this figure, I recommend trying to attach Lian by his hair first and then sort of swinging him into place so that you can attach his back second. All of the struggles I went through for this figure were so worth it. I love every single detail here. The flowers are so cute, the clouds are so fluffy, the fox and the rabbit, butterflies, the overall heart shape. It's just so perfect and oozing with so much love. I love Hualian so much, and this figure once again captured them perfectly. Finally, and also from Pop-Up Parade, I picked up the Your Name, Taki, and Mitsuha figures. You know, I think this was probably an impulsive purchase. When I received my invoice, I couldn't help but think, did I like Your Name this much? It's kind of amusing pre-ordering something and then paying for it months, sometimes years later. That is a huge commitment, and sometimes feelings change. I would rather not get banned from shopping on Amiami, so of course I kept the order. To be fair, I actually did love Your Name a lot in the first year or so after it came out, to the point where I even got the limited edition of the Blu-ray autographed at a convention. But at the same time, it has also been a while since I thought about the movie. A few years ago, Good Smile Company produced 1/8 scale figures and Nendoroids of Taki and Mitsuha. I guess I felt bad that I couldn't order those figures then, so I decided to get these much more affordable figures now. I think this is proof that everything works out for a reason, because these Pop-Up Parade figures look nearly identical to the original scale figures for less than half the price. Of course, there are some differences that even my untrained eye can pick up on, most notably the plain base and minimal shading. Again, considering how I'm not obsessed with the movie anymore, it's no loss on my part. Those differences are also so minor. Overall, I really do like these figures. I think my favorite parts are actually their school bags. I also love the way their uniforms lay on them. It looks like real clothing, which is such a delightful surprise. And with that, we are at the end of this video. Yay! I am still so happy right now. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's a little much to harp on something kind of inconsequential, but it feels so fulfilling that I can afford to splurge more on my hobbies. Don't get me wrong, I still do have to save my money in order to buy merch sometimes. But the fact that I can buy merch at all is such a privilege that I can't take for granted. I am so excited to admire my new figures, to dust them and whatnot. It's a fun new burden. If you are also new to figure collecting, definitely check out the Pop-Up Parade line. And if you're like me and you're just biding your time and saving up until you can afford that merch you really want, good luck! You got this! It's going to feel so satisfying when you finally hit your goal. As always, I hope you're safe, happy, and healthy. Bye bye!